Welcome to the Goodfirms podcast, Conversations That Matter. I'm your host, and today we are looking at the hidden reasons behind website ROI failure. Our guest today is a bridge builder between the world of code and the world of conversions. He is the founder and CEO of WP Creative, an agency that treats websites as growth engines rather than just digital business cards. So please welcome, we have Nirmal Ginwali. So Nirmal, it's great to have you here. Welcome.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks for having me.
All right, Nirmal, let's jump straight into it here. You describe yourself as a marketech. In your experience, what is the biggest communication gap between a company's marketing goals and their technical execution?
That's a good question. Look, that's one of the really big challenges in the world because marketing outcomes is owned by the internal marketing team, and they're marketing people. They're not the tech people. So, but the marketing doesn't happen in silos. It happens with the tech. There we use so many different tools. And just take an example, website is one of the most important asset where you drive all the traffic. But they don't know how to code because they can't solve the complex technical problem because they're marketing people. They're not tech people. And they have to rely on other like the vendors, agencies, their partners, to solve the problem. But they talk different language. Marketing people are, talking the conversion, the outcome, the leads, the growth, the revenues, the pipeline. But the tech people talk in a different language, which is a more task, features, bugs, and fixes, and so on. And that was the biggest challenge I saw in the market as well, because I used to work as a tech guy. I was a dev guy working for agencies, and I saw that every day. And that's where we build the business and the positioning around the marketers, which is we understand the marketing world, we bridge the gap, we understand the outcome you're looking for, and we're not just a tech partner. We're looking for the outcome. If you're building a landing page, there is a goal, which is not just another task to create a landing page, make it functional. So we look at the gap. And that's how we came up with the positioning called Marketex.
Yeah, great explanation there and opening there for, our audience. That lost in translation moment happens just so often, right? We see it at Goodfirms, all the time where the why gets buried under the what.
Yep.
Now WP Creative specifically supports marketing teams. So, what is the most common frustration you hear from marketing managers when they, inherit a website built by a traditional dev agency?
Okay, that's a good one. Like most of the time, the biggest frustration for them is I can't trust the site. I can't trust it. For example, it is built by someone, or maybe there were multiple devs who, like install so many different tools and, the backend plugins and all these things. They know those different tools and they wanted to make their life easier. Maybe they thought that was the best way. But eventually, what happens is it becomes so clunky, bloated with multiple tools and so on. The biggest frustration for marketing team is not getting the flexibility. For example, if I want to change something, can I do that? Because the backend is so messy. If I change it, is that gonna break something? And the worst, is the site gonna go down mid-campaign? And that's the biggest fear we found. And most of the time, marketing team wants the agility. They want to go back and make the change quickly themselves. And that's the one of the things we have been doing at WP Create. We want to empower them to make the change rather than the website being a bottleneck for them, and where they need to go back to the database agency and ask, look, can we just make a small heading change, and which takes a couple of weeks for them to come back. That's the biggest frustration for the marketing teams right now.
And this leads us to that core problem, right? Many websites, they look beautiful, but
Yeah.
they don't convert. So, is the hidden reason for ROI failure usually a design flaw, or is it something, deeper within the technical architecture?
That's a really interesting point. Look, the design. Look, many people blame the design because that's the visual. That is something you can see and kind of interpret. But that is not the only problem. Design is definitely one of the challenges. If the brand, the messaging, the positioning is not aligned with the design look and feel. For example, if you're targeting day-to-day user, your pricing is like offer is a low ticket, but you're trying to look premium. Kind of because some people love fancy design, they want to look premium because probably the CEO, the founder wants to look the business really premium. There is a misalignment, but the biggest reason that for the conversion for mostly for I would say mid market, even for a small business who is driving traffic, is the loading time. If it is not loading, because we are impatient these days, when no one is going to wait for 10 seconds, if it is not loading in a couple of seconds, then no one is going to see your site. No one is going to see your positioning. No one is going to see your logo, the brand, the messaging, who you target, what do you solve, and all these things. So then people are in, they will go back and look into your competitor. So that's one of the biggest thing we found, that the number one reason, not the design, is the loading time. It has to load fast. And then the second thing, if I have to say, was again going back to the agility. Can the marketing team quickly make the change? Because the business evolves every day. You can't set and forget. Let's say you built a site last year, but you can't just keep running the same message because so many things are changing in the real world. So another second part is the biggest frustration is the marketing team not being able to change every day to reflect the business. What do you do today?
Yeah, yeah, it's about agility. I agree there. Yet why does the digital brochure mindset still persist even in 2026? And how does it actively drain a company's marketing budget?
That's a good point. Look, I have been doing this like web design for almost 20 years now. This is how businesses took initially as a brochure. Everyone wanted to have a business card, xyz.com. I have got a online presence as well, so they don't need to keep explaining that again and again. But now we're in 2026. Things have changed. AI is crawling, Google is
Yeah.
crawling. Look, there are so many touch point. People just don't, listen from you. They want to look into YouTube. They want to look into different channels and so on. So if someone is still trading, look, you're living 20 years behind. It was fine when the .com came out and the www was popular and everyone wanted to go online. But now it is a living asset. You need to optimize. You need to change every day to reflect the handle all the objection. What are the questions customer are asking every day? The prospect is asking. You want to answer that in blog. You want to change your messaging because the positioning is for many businesses. You need to keep reiterating that, redefining your positioning. Who is your ideal customer? What is the problem you solve? So you need to keep evolving that every day. If you're not optimizing that and sending the traffic to like 10 years old, that's your like the past version, not your present self. No one knows what you're doing. So that mindset definitely has to change.
Yeah. Great point there about changing your mindset. It's a quiet drain for sure, and on that note, let's talk about the data gap here. How often do you find that ROI failure is simply a result of bad data or broken tracking between the website and the CRM?
We see a lot. Um, when the business is small, you don't have many tools, and you don't have the CRM. Probably you don't have many tools. I mean, you have a lot, you still use like lots of the low ticket the CRM as well. But they don't. They're relying on email. They lose a lot of in translation in the transition. And when it gets to the mid market, there are so many things sitting in silos, fragmented tools, the ERP, the CRM, and IT team is in the middle, and they don't want email to get like the data to go through the server, and then you need to set up the different SMTP and so on. Then you don't have marketing teams don't have control over how the whole ecosystem is working, and they can't quickly find out, they can't track those things. So that's why this is the things get lost in translation. It's not just the tools. Sometimes you don't even see the form is not working. You have got multiple forms and you're not getting emails, and you don't even know that for a couple of months email are going to nowhere. So that
Mhm.
happens very often as well. So that's where we have seen a lot of like even the e-commerce and tracking and the meta ads. They're not connecting each other. They're not passing the product information. What is the product amount that has been sold online with the ad and with the backend? It's so fragmented because of multiple tools. And now none of the tools are perfect.
And for the leaders, that are listening who want to fix this, if a business owner realizes their site is underperforming today, what are the top three technical elements they should audit immediately to improve conversion?
Um, I would say the number one thing about is the loading time again. If it is not loading fast and if people are bouncing, look at the bounce rate. look at how long it is loading. Go to Google Pages feed. There are so many different tools. You can quickly do the assessment and find out whether it is loading within a couple of seconds. And there are different technical words, LCP, how long does it takes to load the main content and so on. Just make sure that if you're using videos on the banner, make sure this is loading on time. Sometimes people just dump the video on the hosting server, which is not the best practice. And then second things, if I have to say, the second point, if I have to say, look at the messaging after they land. Does it reflect your business today? Many businesses still treat website as on a project, which is the biggest problem. And they don't keep optimizing every day to reflect that. Does the business reflect, what do you do today, and what do you offer today? What problem you solve today? And if I have to say the third point, make sure the funnel is working well. For example, from the journey, when your prospect land into the site, where did they go? What is the call to action? What is the next step from here? Are you proactively leading them towards the conversion, the outcome you want? Or is just the reactive? Just the information there and just they're kind of guessing and they're just kind of bouncing from there. And check the form as well. Is the call to action after the final form, is that working? Do you get that email when someone fills out? I guess these are the very important thing to just a kind of a common sense to test, make sure it's
Yeah.
working.
Yeah. Performance is non-negotiable, right? So, how do you balance the need for a heavy high-end design with that brutal reality that site speed is a primary driver of ROI?
100%.
Yeah. So any thoughts there of how do you just support, this high-end design with your site speed?
Um, Look, there is a balance. You don't have sometimes the misconception is if you want to look high end, you need to compromise on the look and feel. If you want to look high end, you need to compromise on the loading time and performance. You don't. There are a couple of ways that people look at is, for example, there are best practices. People still upload the videos on the front, fancy videos without uploading on different other Vimeo, other like third party tool because they optimize really well. And then you can manage that the loading time and other fancy like a lazy loading kind of without loading in the front, like maintaining that. You can
Mhm.
still do that. And then second thing is it doesn't have to be heavy graphics as well. There are the brand colors and other things you can still maintain to look it good and professional and without compromising anything at all. You don't need, these days you have got so many, JavaScript animation, the CSS and all these things to make it look good and without compromising the look and feel. You can still maintain the brand positioning and there are different ways. It's all about the best practices, then compromising on that. But high-end design is not for everyone. You don't need that. Depends on how you want to position yourself, how you want to put in the market. Sometimes looking approachable can be the winner for many businesses rather than trying to look the most expensive, most premium luxury brand because probably you are not.
Yeah. Yeah. Great points there to make. So thank you for that. All right, let's talk platform now. For those skeptical about scalability, how can a properly architectured WordPress site, outperform expensive custom enterprise solutions in terms of marketing agility?
That's a really interesting point. Look, there are so many enterprise platforms as well. The reason WordPress, let's talk about WordPress. The reason WordPress has been popular is it gives the flexibility without the corporate structure and the closed environment. For example, marketing teams, for that reason, many marketing teams love WordPress because they have got a bigger ecosystem. They can tap into the plugin feature. For example, they want to integrate with the HubSpot, Salesforce, just one click you can find all the solution there without relying on big enterprise level dev agencies and companies where you have to request for like a build custom integration. You can quickly go into the WordPress backend ecosystem and install that. Again, I will point back to the agility where you can move quickly fast
Mhm.
without relying on like waiting for multiple weeks and weeks for someone to build it. That makes the biggest difference because in 2026, in this age, agility is very important. Can we move quickly? Can we position ourselves quickly? Can you put the messaging quickly out there? Can you build a landing page quickly? Can you launch the campaign quickly? Can you post something on the social media quickly? Because there is something going on about the market, whatever that is. So people want to move quickly. For that reason, WordPress has been really popular because it's open source. You're not tied into anyone's like a closed environment. And then second thing is people complain because people build in a random way. WordPress is not the problem. It's how you build is the problem. If someone is building with the right infrastructure, right foundation, with the right security, it's not a problem. If you're installing hundreds of plugins in the backend because you're just excited to see different, the functionalities and features, changing the shiny object, then you are the problem, not the WordPress, which can happen with your mobile or whatever. If you're not using in the right way, WordPress is not the problem. It is how the foundation has been built. That doesn't solve, enterprise doesn't solve all those problems because it comes with the constraint trade-offs as well.
Yeah, great points there. Okay, this is going to be the tough love portion of the show here. So, Normal, I'm going to put you on the spot here. If you could stop every CEO from making just one specific mistake with their website this year, what would it be?
That's a really good question. I hear a lot from marketing teams and businesses as well. One of the mistakes the CEOs and the founder do is treating website as one project and rebuilding that every couple of years. For example, they look at competitor side, they look at the new like a shiny company in the market. Oh, they look really fancy. Let's
Yeah.
redesign. Let's rebuild. Rather than treating that as a living, the growth engine, optimizing every day, updating the content and fixing the backend problem, integrations, integrating with the new tools and so on. They treat it as a one-off project every couple of years. Kind of, oh, they see the computer, they see something else, and say like, now we need to change. Now we need to kind of rebrand, and rebranding can happen in the like for good reason. For example, if you're merging, if you're kind of expanding, if you're going in a different direction, which is fine. But rebuilding every couple of years is not the right way for CEOs. That's the biggest frustration I see because that just takes another 4, 5 months, 6 months for marketing teams.
Yep.
And you have to halt, you have to put on hold everything what you're doing and allocate the big resources for that, and never goes as planned from what I've
Yes.
seen. There is a disaster. You lose so much, the existing infrastructure and SEO, all these things, and they come to us because our positioning has been we take on existing legacy build and optimize every day and find the quick wins, and we can show you the improvement in 30 days rather than you kind of rebuilding every couple of years, which is the I guess one of the biggest challenge I have seen in the market.
All right. That was a great one there to go through. All right. So let's look ahead here. So, looking ahead, what is one must have feature for a website to be considered a true marketing engine in 2026?
One of the must, I would say now, my answer would be different last year. I would say this year AI. If you haven't optimized for AI, then you're you're behind because when I say I guess it's the same thing as well. I mean, it doesn't change anything, but people we didn't take that seriously in the past. It's for human. Make it very simple messaging, very clear messaging. What do you do? What is your value proposition? What is like the problem you solve? Who do you work? How do you work? I think making that messaging clear is going to help your AI in many ways to understand your brand. I would emphasize on that clear formatting, clear messaging, clear block, all these, the cluster around that to support, understand, help AI to understand about your business and the brand. And there goes other things as well. Loading time is one of the important things for AI as well, not just human being, because what does the AI and LLM do is if it takes more than a couple of seconds, they will stop because they don't want to consume more energy. Going through loading, taking so long to load, because that takes a lot of energy, and they will go to a competitor where they can quickly find the information. So that is very important as well. Loading time, having the right infrastructure foundation, and the schema and all this proper formatting. I would definitely emphasize AI for this year.
Right. Okay, Normal, before we let you go, we have our signature Goodfirms podcast rapid fire round. So, quick questions, gut reactions. Here we go. All right, number one, WordPress, page builders or Gutenberg blocks?
Blocks,
The number one conversion killer, slow speed or bad copy?
slow speed,
Yeah, I was surefire. I knew which one that was going to be. One tool every marketect needs in their stack.
good sharing,
Is AI a threat or a tool for web developers?
100% tool,
All right. The best way to spend an extra $1,000 on a website, design or speed optimization?
speed,
And complete this sentence for us. A website is never.
On a facet.
All right. Nirmal, thank you for bringing so much clarity to the table today. If our listeners want to learn more about Marketech, your Marketech approach, where should they go?
I am usually engaged on LinkedIn. I post every day. You can find me there, and my company site is wpcreative.com.au. You can find me there.
All right, that's fantastic. Thanks for joining us on the Goodfirms podcast, Conversations That Matter. To our listeners, stay agile and keep the conversation going at goodfirms.co. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Laura.